So everyone wants to talk about abundance. Everyone talks about how to create it and in different ways to manifest it. Yet is there any mention of concern on what is in the way? What blocks have been piled up to create an impossible wall to prevent your manifestation or your vision from being broadcasted out into the ethers of the quantum field and beyond so that it can materialize? Let's look at deblocking abundance in detail and how to remove those blocks so that your vision of your life, your business, and your legacy can come to reality. In this short 3-part series, we're going to work backwards, meaning we're going to look at the block that gets put up last in the evolution of the most challenging blocks to abundance, and then we're going to move closer to the center. And we're going to dive into each one in greater detail, hence why it's a 3-part series. Also, this first block is the easiest one to shift. So we're going to talk about limiting beliefs. This is different than the video I did before. It's much more intense and involved. Beliefs are what you believe about life. The ideas that determine your daily behaviors. Beliefs can be a value, they can be a permission, necessity, or limitation. But limiting beliefs are basically a thought or a state of mind that you hold as true. Because you hold it as true, you tend to operate and see the world and yourself within its parameters, which tend to be limited to your perceived abilities, skills, capabilities, possibilities about yourself and about how the world works. When you hold these limiting beliefs as true, these beliefs that constrict what we know about ourselves, then it can cause havoc on the success, wealth, joy, happiness, and freedom that you want to have. I see limiting beliefs as representations of our outer world. They are first represented by our families, our communities, and our culture. And then we internalize them as if that is how the world actually is, and that is how I actually am. Here's the rub. These beliefs that you hold as true are just notions. They are not the truth. Yet you hold them as true, and so it's almost impossible to see it as anything else. And it's almost impossible to separate yourself from it. But how could you have a different experience when this is what you were born into? This is what the people around you who are raising you believed, how they acted, how they interacted with the world, and how the community interacted with the world and your culture. To give you some example, here are some limiting beliefs. Some of them may be more familiar than others. I have to work hard to have money. There is no joy without sacrifice. Money doesn't grow on trees. I'm just not good with money. You need to work 12 hours a day for 6 days a week to get your business off the ground and successful. I have no time for vacation. I can't afford it. I'm not smart enough to start my own business. I'm too scared to launch my idea. Life is too much. This is too much. I'm not deserving unless my productivity is at its highest. I'm just a procrastinator. I don't deserve more. More money equals more freedom, more security. Wanting more is selfish and greedy. I'm spiritual, so money's not important to me. Money's for other people. Money's what keeps me stuck or lets me move. When I have more money, I will change jobs. I will even move. My life will be really different. Do any of these sound familiar? A belief is no good unless it's true. So your brain works on your behalf to make sure that the belief has evidence that it's true. So there's part of your brain called the RAS, or Reticulating Activated System, and it filters what you experience to find evidence that your beliefs are true. And it also filters out evidence that disprove your belief on how deserving you are, how much you need to work to make money. Your brain is invested in being right about how the world works so that you can accurately predict what you will experience in the world. If your brain is really good at predicting how hard it is to make money and how much you have to sacrifice to be worthy, then your brain can keep you safe and keep you alive. So your brain will continue on your behalf to find evidence for you to be right about your limiting beliefs. For example, if you had a belief that you were not smart enough to launch your business or change jobs, then you will start seeing examples of this all over your life. You will see friends and colleagues who are getting promotions or having success in their business that you'd like to have. You see this and you feel bad about yourself. There is some part of you that says, if only I was smarter, or if I worked harder, or if I was better connected, or if I was more deserving. It doesn't matter what you say to yourself. The fact that you are saying it at all is evidence that your brain is continuing to feed that limiting belief, that limiting pattern, the evidence for it. Keynote, so that it appears to be true. Now, in that moment, what you are telling yourself and what you're feeling seems real and you believe it. Yet you don't want to believe it, and you may even get a bit irritated, mad, or even sad about it. The good news is, if you are irritated or upset about that belief, then there is another part of you who knows that it's not true. And that part of you is trying to override the limiting beliefs. It's exhausting to have two different parts of your brain fight over airtime of your mind. They both want to broadcast. They both have great intentions, and the two of them are contradicting each other, which creates a lot of overwhelm, upset, frustration, and noise that is unnecessary and definitely not useful when you are wanting to create your beautiful life. And if you want to know what type of limiting beliefs you have, look at the quality of your life. What about your life do you love? And what about your life do you want to change? Both aspects you have created based on the belief patterns that your mind is running, whether you want them or not. Beliefs are automated choices, meaning that if your brain is running a belief that making money is hard, then your brain will always choose the harder route, or it will create friction, challenges, and obstacles to making money so that you do get the experience of making money is hard, and it will do it automatically. It does not need to decide anything. This is how your brain makes sure it can predict the future and keep you safe. Pretty crazy, right? So how do you transform these thoughts, these limiting beliefs that are holding you back? I know how hard it can be to transform your mindset, especially when your conscious brain won't let you be free of the noise, the doubt, the fear, and the tension that comes with it. Many coaches, mentors, influencers talk about needing to catch your thoughts and your behavior patterns as a way to rebuild your belief system. This is definitely one option. Yet there are much easier and more efficient ways to do it. Personally, I don't want to chase every constricting thought I have down a rabbit hole, decipher it, and beat it into submission. It takes way too much time, and it's a raw approach to change. Like, gotta get it. We know so much more about how to affect change in the brain today than we did before. We don't need to beat it into submission or bore it to death with hours of journaling or dilute it with mass affirmations. These are all lovely things if it's your jam, but it's just not mine. I'd rather spend my time doing things I love, like making chocolate, badly dancing, and hiking in the redwoods. Let me just say, if you could revise these limiting beliefs by just being consciously aware of them, you'd have already done it by now, and you wouldn't be watching this video. Yet you are. So I'm gonna say you probably have some more limiting beliefs to revise that would make a huge difference in your life, your business, and your legacy. So let's talk about revising those beliefs. I've heard lots of mindset coaches talk about how you need to be aware, and through that awareness, you can change the belief patterns that are happening. I will say, I so appreciate the optimism, and they are not wrong. It's just that it's not the most efficient or effective way, as I've mentioned before. Awareness is the first step. You have to know that you have a leaky faucet in order to fix it. One thing I do to get a client to go deeper in their awareness about a limiting belief that they want to shift is we start with, what is the experience that they're having? What are the sensations that they are physically getting when that belief is running? Is it tension? Is it nervousness? Are they shaking? Is their heart having palpitations? Are they sweating? Do they feel nervous? What are those sensations? And then I ask, where are those sensations located in their body? Their stomach, their shoulders, their head, their neck, their feet. Where are those sensations showing up? And then what are the thoughts that go with it? It's important to understand the ecology of your experience so that we can understand where and how it's rooted. Why it's there, it's not as useful. As I've mentioned, it is important to get as much relevant information as possible from the limiting belief that is running. Yet just having the awareness without the tools isn't going to stop the water from the leaky pipe from getting all over your floor, damaging it, and possibly creating mold. It's just not. You can't just be aware of a leaky pipe and have it get fixed. Now, I'm sure there's people who can bend spoons with their minds, who can do it through awareness. I just don't have the time to learn that when there's water all over my floor. So once you have the awareness of the limiting belief that's causing all that noise in your head, you need tools to revise the structure of the pattern so that it runs a pattern you'd prefer versus the one you've gotten by default. And when I say default, I mean because you absorb these beliefs based on your family, your culture, and your community dynamics. It's what the collective around you also believe. It's a construct that they created. So how can you see the world and yourself any different? These tools take the experience that your subconscious brain is having about the belief and the experience your conscious brain is having about the belief, and it collapses them into the quantum field. This has these two different experiences be canceled out. It neutralizes them. So you can then put in the pattern that you want, the belief that you'd rather have instead, a belief that's more in alignment with who you are today and what you're wanting to create today in your life, in your business, and for your legacy. This means there's no more efforting upstream, trying to cross that finish line of feeling worthy and successful, wealthy and free. Because there's nothing on the other side of that finish line when it's done from compensating for a limiting belief. There's no satisfaction, no happiness, or no real peace or freedom when you're struggling and working harder and harder to try to compensate when you don't feel worthy, when you don't feel good enough, when you don't feel smart enough. Because what you find is just another stream to swim up with all the effort you can muster, looking for the experience of finally being good enough, successful enough, wealthy enough, and having sacrificed enough to be deserving. For example, you can have the belief that you have to work hard for money, and you can neutralize it, and then add in a belief that money comes to you easily in delightfully surprising ways. Or you can have the belief that you are no good with money. You just can't manage it. you just spend it. And you can cancel that out and put in a belief of, I'm in partnership with money. It's my ally in creating the life I love. It's literally that simple. These are not affirmations, because affirmations are done in the conscious brain. This is not where the limiting beliefs are rooted, so affirmations are not as effective or as efficient. Now, some beliefs run in clusters, so you might have to collapse several waves as you notice what shows up after this specific belief is revised. And there are multiple patterns and networks. Yet, as I've mentioned in other videos, you don't have to address every pattern. You only need 1% to shift for transformation. If you want to learn more about revising your limiting beliefs more effectively, pick a time below to connect and we can chat more.